You're listening to the Business Breakfast, and as we move into yet another shopping season here in the UAE, we're having a look at how one of the discount malls, the Dubai Outlet Mall, is doing here in Dubai. Vishal Mahajan is the director of Dubai Outlet Mall. Good morning, Vishal. Thanks for joining us.
Very good morning. Thanks for having me here.
Well, we have been hearing from commentators, and one very loud, enthusiastic commentator in particular, Howie Davidowitz, that we speak to here in the Business Breakfast, that the cut price outlets, the Tangers, the rest of it in the US are doing very well as people watch their budgets in the run-up to Christmas at the moment. What are you seeing here in the UAE?
Well, the trend is very much the same. Over the last 2 or 2.5 years, things have been catching up. We have been experiencing continuous growth patterns, both in terms of footfall as well as in sales. So things have been on the rise for us.
Can you give us some numbers for those? What are you seeing in terms of footfall? And what are you seeing in terms of sales?
Well, in terms of footfall, we are from 2009 to 2010, we were about 28% more, which resulted in an increase of about 23% of sales from 2009 to 2010. And from 2010 to 2011, so far the growth has been over 30%. And by the year end, we'll know how the sales have performed. I'm sure they are corresponding to the footfall.
Behind those percentages, what are the numbers?
Well, we on the footfall, and as of now, we are about 150,000 people per week. So that is the number I can give you now.
So 2,500 people a day, roughly?
Well, no, it's more than that. It's about, on a weekday, we get about 12 to 14,000 people.
Sorry, yes, my maths, yeah.
And on a weekend, it's hard to get parking out there. We cross sometimes over, or we touch sometimes over 30,000 people on a weekend.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've been up there on a weekend, and certainly you have people sort of parking on the verges, on the the side, and the rest of it. What kind of, I suppose, due diligence do you do on the sales that are in the outlet mall? I mean, we have been garnering some questions for you from Facebook, from our listeners, and one of the biggest areas of feedback that we got was that people felt that the price tags were still very high in the outlet mall for a lot of items.
Well, I could say this perception comes because we have a lot of major brands which are in the first price. They are very high. Like, for example, a Burberry t-shirt would be about 2,000 dirhams, and even after 50% discount, it comes to be about 1,000 dirhams, which is quite high for a normal shopper. So that's the kind of perception which goes on further. However, having said that, if we look at different brands, we have t-shirts or we have merchandise as low as 10 dirhams onwards. So it depends on the customer, what the customer is looking for. It depends on what brand he or she is targeting. The price is corresponding to that. However, having said that, we are minimum 30% discounted than what is selling outside, and the discounts sometimes go as high as 90%.
Right, so anyone who's selling goods in your store has to offer a minimum of 30%. How do you check that?
We have our own methodology. We have teams in place. We have tied up with economic department in terms of monitoring the prices as well. So we keep a regular check between the prices of the same merchandise which is being sold in our mall and compare it with the merchandise being sold in other regular malls.
Now, I've been to outlet malls in the States, big outlet malls out of town, and they've got lots of different companies using this as an outlet. Some of them are last year's stocks, others are slightly faulty goods, ones that didn't make the grade. Are you just selling stuff which is top quality, or do you mix it, or is it mixed rather, with substandard goods?
Well, the kind of formula which we have on the outlet mall here is completely different than what is in US, because we are selling the same merchandise which was in the premium shop as late as 2 weeks earlier. So there is no substandard merchandise. Whatever you see is excess stock or last season stock, which is available with the retailer. From the main shop, they bring it down to the outlet mall as to clear it.
Being a bloke and not really understanding how this works, I mean, to me, if you're relying entirely on last year's stock or excess stock, that relies on the major companies here, the big retailers, the MAFs, the Altas, people who own the shops, in over-ordering and not actually being exact in the amount that they order. What happens if those people become more professional and actually order exactly what they need for their own shops? Your supply would dry up then. What would you have to do then?
Well, over the last 4 years that we have opened, retailers have understood the concept very well. They are now looking at the outlet in a very specific manner, especially when we are told by a lot of retailers that in the outlet mall their stores perform sometimes better than the store outside than the outlet mall. So they are now focusing on the stock. This problem we had in the first year. However, after the first year, people are focusing on the inventory on their shops for the outlet mall.
How do you make it worth people's while consistently to drive out of town, because it is out of town, down the Lane Road to you? I say consistently because I know myself, and I do venture out quite a bit, that it can be exceptionally hit and miss as to whether you find anything. And certainly some of the feedback that we have had from our listeners this morning have sort of joked that, you know, you're fine if you're a bloke who's either sort of below a 28 waist or over a 42, but if you're sort of, you know, a standard size or whatever, if you're not one of the tinies or not at the other end of the scale, then it doesn't always cater to you.
Well, outlet mall is all about exploring the bargain. A typical shopper comes to the outlet mall, spends more average time in the outlet mall exploring and hunting for the specific product that he or she wants, and in the process gets the bargain. Now, this misconception that we are completely out of town is, I would like to correct it, because we are just about 20 minutes away from the World Trade Center.
Oh, but we're spoilt here. Anything more than about 5 minutes and we think that it's out in the sticks.
Completely agree on that. However, now if you get into the habit of coming to the outlet mall, it does not feel that much out of town. It's a nice drive without much traffic, and we consistently keep a lot of marketing efforts into place to attract the customers to come to the mall. We keep them informing about the new things that are happening, which we try and do it all the time. Every month there is some event or the other. The new stocks, we send out newsletters, we send out Facebook messages. So we try to keep in a very regular communication with the customer, and in the process we invite them to the mall.
Do you have rules about your retailers in terms of how much they must stock, how full they must keep their stores, or how often they must sort of refresh stock to make sure that you kind of don't end up becoming the can't sell it anywhere else mall?
Well, yes, we have certain criteria, and whenever we see that any retailer is going out of stock, we write to them, we talk to them, and make sure that the stock is full, so that no customer who comes to the mall or their shop gets disturbed.
Most of the malls have reported an upsurge in Chinese buyers. Have you been saying the same thing?
Well, Chinese, I think, have been coming more to the UAE ever since about a year and a half. So we have observed a bit of an upsurge than before in Chinese buyers.
And what about your own expansion plans? I mean, you mentioned the parking issues on the weekend there, that literally people are overspilling. Have you got any plans to increase your parking, to increase the mall space itself? Well,
it's a great problem to have. The parking gets full on the weekend. Yes, we are looking into the problems that we are facing or the customers are facing. We are looking into the issues of going back to Dubai. We are talking to RTA on that, and hopefully soon we will be making a proper U-turn from the mall back to Dubai.
That's good, because most people at the moment go under the road on one of the lorry passes.
Exactly. we are upgrading that.
Who owns the outlet mall?
It's owned by Al Ahli Holding Group, and the CEO being Mr. Mohammed Khamas.
Vishal Mahajan, that is unfortunately all the time we have this morning. Director of Dubai Outlet Mall, thank you so much for coming in and joining us.
Thank you, and please visit Outlet Mall and see bargains.